Everyone, the U.S. Department of Treasury and the IRS are releasing their new final tax reporting rules for crypto brokers. The new rules will soon shift the burden of reporting crypto activity, trades, and cost bases for tax purposes from crypto investors now on to the broker. Here with more, we've got Andrew Gordon, who is the Gordon Law Partner, tax attorney, and CPA. Andrew, great to have you, and thanks for joining us here this morning. Let's start with the high-level explanation of these new rules. What exactly is happening?
Sure. So for the last decade or so, or since the dawn of cryptocurrency, the burden has been on the investors or the taxpayers to report all of their activity on their taxes. And so what has happened over time is there's a massive tax gap, or the difference between what people actually need to report and pay and what the IRS is collecting. And that's in part because it's been a disaster to report your crypto taxes. If you're a crypto investor, you need to get data from a variety of different sources. You need to piece it together and report your gains or losses. And that's something that's very unique to crypto versus something like the stock market. And what this legislation had done, and now these new broker regulations puts into effect, is that the brokers or the crypto exchanges now are required to report to both the taxpayers or the investors and the IRS the individual's cost basis, or what they purchased it for, as well as the sales price and the gain and loss that accompanies it.
So what kind of timing are we talking about? When is this going to be effective?
So the tax form that's going to be issued, which is called the 1099-DA, Form 1099-DA, it's a new form. It's going to be issued for tax year 2025. So it will be used when filing your 2025 taxes in 2026. But although the tax form is for 2025, people now, if you're involved in cryptocurrency now, there are some very important steps that you should be taking in advance of this reporting, because the IRS is going to start to have a fire hose of information. They're going to have more data than ever before on crypto investors. Yet at the same time, many people out there haven't reported their crypto investing. So although the tax form is coming into effect for 2025, you should be doing things right away. You should be doing things now.
What do you believe the IRS might do in the form of a crackdown once they get this trove of new information about crypto holdings?
So as I mentioned, there's been this massive tax gap, right? Billions of dollars, maybe even more, that the IRS should have been collecting from crypto investors. But because they haven't had this information, they haven't been able to effectively do so. So I would expect that there will be a massive increase in audits, a massive increase in criminal investigations based on this information, and more attempts to decrease this tax gap and collect more money from crypto investors.
What should people do in the meantime prior to when this form goes into effect?
So if you're watching this and you're a crypto investor and you haven't reported your crypto or haven't reported fully, now is the time to get into compliance. Talk to a tax professional and get your records in order. Assess filing an amended return. Or even if not doing that, have your cost basis information ready so that as you file future years and as the IRS gets all this information, that you can report fully and consistently.
And just lastly, while we have you, what should people know about what the brokers will be responsible for?
So brokers are going to be issuing to the IRS and to investors this Form 1099-DA. And it's going to be very similar to what investors in the stock market are used to with a 1099-B, where it will have cost basis and sales price. But what's really important to know is that in the first few years, especially, the brokers aren't going to have all the information. They're not going to be required to provide cost basis information if the transactions happen before 2025. And so there's still going to be a lot of information missing, but hopefully over time, it will be very similar to what we've seen with 1099-B forms.
Andrew Gordon, who is the Gordon Law Partner, tax attorney, and CPA. Andrew, great breakdown here. Thanks so much for taking the time with us today.
Thank you.